Hello, everybody. This is the DCG development update, and we are here with the platform, the core, and the mobile teams to give you an update of what happened in the past 2 weeks. We are planning this session for 60 minutes, and we will have a dedicated Q&A session at the end. So please use a Q or a question prefix for the question that you intend for us to answer them in this session. All right, let's start with the platform team. And without further ado.
Yep, let's go.
Let me find my screen sharing button. Yeah.
So we're going to do things a little bit differently today. Not very much differently, but just a little bit. We're going to have a very big Dash Evo tool demo at the end. Yeah, so this is the overview. Basically, we had a chain halt that consumed maybe 3 or 4 days of our time during the last 2 weeks. So me, Lukas, and Ivan worked on that, and we got releases out. That was 1.5.1, and for TenderDash, that was 1.3.1. On the SDK, we've all worked a little bit on it. We didn't do that much. Ivan, I think you wrote, I think you meant to do CI/CD, right? Not CIDI. Anyways, so on CI/CD, Lukas and Ivan have been working on that. Why have we been working on our continuous integration, continuous delivery? They'll tell you soon enough. Ivan's also been working on Dashmate, Lukas on TenderDash, and Dash Evo tool, me, Paul, and Odysseus. So Dash Evo tool will come last. And for right now, I think Ivan starts. Oh, no,
Indeed.
actually, no.
You?
Oh, I start. Okay, so yeah, the mainnet chain halt. Should I take? I'll take this. Yeah. So yeah, our first mainnet chain halt, and I hope the last one. It was extremely, extremely stupid. It was one line of code that was basically mistaken. We wrote something to the database. So as the way blocks are processed is you have a block full of transactions. Everything that happens inside of a block gets processed and then only gets written to the database when all the validators agree that it is correct. In this case, what happened was if an Evo node or a master node had voted on something, basically have voted on a username, and then they deleted their Evo node, basically they moved the collateral, then all their votes would get removed. And this vote removal had a bug where it was doing it directly and not when everybody agreed that it was supposed to happen at the end of the block. So that's not allowed in our consensus system. And because it's not allowed in our consensus system, the whole system went haywire going, wait, why is this happening? And we got an error from GroveDB saying that the resource was busy and that, we should retry. That was error number one. This kind of caused like more than one issue because we had never tested such a catastrophic issue. And the second issue happened with TenderDash that didn't replay things perfectly. And I think we'll hear about TenderDash afterwards. So basically what happened is the current validator set was able to continue producing blocks. However, the non-active validators were stuck at the wrong app hash and basically all went offline. When we ended this current quorum, we had to switch to a new validator set. And So of the 100 nodes or so, maybe 90 nodes that were in the quorum that had the issue, only about, well, actually only 41 of those 90 or so were in the next quorum, which makes sense because we have about 220 Evo nodes in our system. So, we got 41 and we need 67 to proceed with the chain, the others being offline. So chain stall. Um, our solution to recover from all this was very simple. We figured out that if we just restarted, um, we would, I mean, things would work. So we didn't yet really understand the root cause, but we figured out that restarting fixed the chain, and we told people to
Resetting.
resetting, yeah,
Resetting.
resetting, resyncing from scratch would fix the issue. So we told people to do that. However, that the issue persisted in the case of somebody that votes and move their collateral. So we quickly got next slide, please. We quickly got slide 1.5 not slide 1.5.1, release 1.5.1 out so that this would no longer happen. Now you can vote and you can move your collateral afterwards. All is good, and there's nothing to see here. Um, let's forget this ever happened. And yep. So, Ivan, you want to continue?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that was pretty funny chain of bugs. It's like we were very lucky that we got in this situation. It should be like all the stars put in this specific place on the sky to let it happen. Yeah, so basically it was the three bugs. One in Tender Dash, which let validators to proceed, but full nodes to stuck. And basically they actually all should stuck, and it would be a bug, right? And it should restart Tender Dash if we cannot finalize the block, because we don't know what to do if the commit was applied or not. We don't know on the Dash side. And also on Drive side, the issue was that we weren't able to commit to database new data. Actually, we partially kind of write it, right? And still we updated some of the caches and some information in memory. So basically the chain proceeded with very weird state in memory and on the disk. So that shouldn't happen. And if we cannot commit transaction, we just should restart drive. So we revert everything from the memory, like all the updates, and read from the disk. And so we ensure the consistency. Yeah, and the root cause, we should write everything inside database transaction, all the data to the disk. This was funny. Few days no sleep on weekend. That's great. Lucas asked me to talked about his slides. So this is Tender Dash 1.3.1 release, what was actually done during the chain halt investigation. And the main fix here is to panic. It means restart Tender Dash is if you have any error on finalized block. And some minor fix for the metrics. So it always shows 0, but we would like to see actually how many validators didn't sign the votes. And yes, some technical updates. Let's proceed. Yeah, and this is current Lucas development. He merged several PRs, technical as well, I would say. So improving the logging. If you're running inside the Docker, some changes for CI, CD of the tender dash. Fixed the bug. It was requested by community when you use the validator's endpoint, and it failed from time to time during the quorum rotation, and some dependencies updates. Thank you.
Thanks, Ivan.
Yeah, I will continue actually. So
Welcome.
we work.
Hand it over to yourself.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And the we barely worked this sprint on Rust SDK. Unfortunately, we were distracted by halt thing, and also we have a urgent work on CI/CD. We will talk about it later, but we did some few fixes, very minor, and we're going to continue to work on SDK when we finish with improvements of CI/CD. Next slide, please. Yeah, there was a story with Dashmate, this print as well. At some point, users started getting the errors during the renewal, certificate renewal. It actually means that 90 days since we started platform passed. Who? And Dashmate are very happy of this, started spamming their SSL with requests and creating tons of draft certificates due to a couple bugs what we had. And those bugs are fixed now, and we provided comments to clean up all this draft and non-validated certificates from your zero SSL account. So only zero SSL users were affected. That was fixed as 1.5 release, part of this release. Let's continue. Yeah, withdrawals. Good news, guys. The fixes for withdrawals are coming. Our dear core guys, the release, preparing the core 22 release. They will talk about it later in details. From our side, from team did some changes in platform to reflect this fixes, this updates. So we increased the limit from 1,000 to 2,000 dash daily limit, how much you can withdraw. And also we removed this workaround from platforms that only first two quorums can sign asset unlock transactions. So now withdrawal are working all time. We tested this updates on DevNet. Today we saw everything are good. So you should see it soon, I guess. And CI/CD, Sam, you wanna say something about it? Or
Not really, but I'll do it anyways. So why are we doing this work on CI/CD? Basically, as we were pushing very, very hard to release Evo, and then, there's been pushes for 1.3 withdrawals, like everything has been, pretty, pretty, pretty intense. We pushed away like, oh, we have this issue, that issue, that's kind of less important, but costly. And what has happened is that our infrastructure bill has steadily increased as we weren't paying attention to getting it low. And now, because we've been adding tons and tons of extra work to our continuous integration, it ballooned. So we're taking a little bit of time getting our costs back down. Shouldn't take too long, but it's a good idea to do now.
Yeah. So what we're doing is mostly optimization to speed up the the runs, the pipeline. And you can see the like use pre-build log libroxdb so we can build it once and cache, and then we win 2 minutes for every Rust test what we're running. And we removing extra runs what we don't need, but we still do. We cancel runs if we don't need them anymore, and for example, for merged or closed pull requests. And some additional caching. And our goal is to switch back to free runners. So I'm sorry.
No.
Спасибо. And switch back to free runners. And we're working on this right now. We almost actually done. We need just to deal with the storage for the cache, and I hope we will deal with this during this week. So we're still on track. It looks positive to me. So I mean the goal.
Excellent. Thanks, Ivan. Okay. So I'm not going to talk like with slides about Dash Evo tool. I'm just going to show people. How it's going to work is I'm going to start, then I'm going to hand it on over to Paul. Odysseus was also worked on this, and I'll say what he did while I'm at it. Okay, let me start sharing my screen. Give me a second. Do I have to actually start the app? Okay, I'm gonna start from scratch, just like somebody who freshly installs it will see. Wait. Where is the share button? Why? Replace current share. I'm sorry. It's having. Oh, there we go. It was like on the 5th page of. Do you guys see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. So you arrive in here, and you immediately see that you're not tracking anything, and it tells you what you can do. You can either load an identity or create a wallet. If we just look in load identity, one thing that we saw is that people were confused by the identity ID. Now it's correctly said, also put as ProTX hash. So you can put your ProTX hash so people are not confused. That's very, very small, but that's kind of important. I will be doing this on testnet. So here in the top left, we see something that's green. This basically means that Dash Core is running, connected to Dash Core wallet. But I'm going to go to testnet, and here we see that it's red, right? It's not connected to Dash Core wallet. But if we want, we can just click on the button and Dash Core starts, and now we're connected to Dash Core. Why do we need Dash Core? Well, this is not a fully fledged wallet yet. It basically uses Dash Core as the main wallet and has a lot of communication back and forth to do everything that's needed. So, including verifying proofs and everything. So let's go through the basic. And Odysseus worked on the connection toggle, like being able to always see if you're connected or not. So let's start by creating a wallet. I think people have seen this last week, but it's a little bit more polished now. The seed phrase is in the middle. We generate a seed phrase. Oh, did I write it down? Yes, I wrote it down. Let's give our wallet a name, wallet demo. And so this is new. It asks you for an optional password. So you can now encrypt your wallet. And basically this encrypts it, and it will tell you basically about the encryption, how good it is. Somebody give me a random word. No, let's just do
Potato.
Hello Kitty. Very weak password. Okay, but if you want, you can do a very strong password. You put like a lot more, but we're just going to do a very weak password for now. Ignore this use password for -evo tool loose keys. That's a feature for probably 0.3. So when we release later today, I'm going to remove this. Okay, so we save the wallet. And now the wallet has been saved. We can go into the wallet screen and we can see the wallet here. What's new here? So we can see the different keys that we have in the system. We have no identity creation keys. We have no system keys. We have no unused asset locks. And if we want, we can see multiple at the same time by holding down Shift and clicking. And if we go to funds, we can add a receiving address if we want. Oops, there we go. Sometimes these pop up. Nothing to see there. And so this is basically an address that we can send funds to. I wouldn't recommend using this as a fully fledged wallet yet. Like, don't send money in that isn't made for Evo because, well, it's just, it's still a beta version and it's not 100% there yet. But let's say you want to create an identity. So you come here, create identity. So what do you do here? Choose an identity index. Leave this 0 if this is your first identity of the wallet. So basically, a wallet can have many identity indexes. You can choose one that you want. Let's just leave it 0. Key selection mode. What keys do you want? Recommend just using default. Default allows updating the identity, interacting with data contracts, transferring credits to other identities and to the core payment chain. And now, how do we want to fund it? So right now, for release, we're going to support address with QR code. And so we go here and here. We can send money to this thing. I'm going to do it quickly before somebody beats me to it because there you go. Assent, waiting for core chain to produce proof, waiting for platform acknowledgement. And success. We have created an identity. Da-da-da! See how easy that was? Very, very easy. And now we can register a name. And I'm going to click on register a name and then pass it to Paul. Unless, Paul, you just want to talk when I'm sharing my screen?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. So, talk.
Okay, so this is the register DPNS name screen. So since Sam just came from registering a identity, there's no option to select an identity in the top, but normally that will be like a drop down and you can choose an identity to register for. And then basically in this text box, you type the name that you want and it will go ahead, Sam, type
What name?
Paul.
Oh, it's already been taken.
And you'll see this it tells you whether it's a contested name or not and the estimated cost. And then change it to Paul 9. So it's not a contested name and estimated cost. And then you can, before you click register name, if you want to understand like name constraints, like the type, basically it's like minimum length, maximum length of names, all that information is below. And also like contested names info, what kind of names exactly are contested, and a little information about what name contests are. Yeah, and then go ahead, Sam, you can register it.
Has this one been taken already? I'll click it anyways. We'll see. Will this work? Ah, it worked.
Yay.
Yay. We're surprised as much as you guys.
We just introduced a new bug, and then Sam is a hero and fixed it.
I fixed it about 5 minutes before. Yeah, it was not actually a new bug. It was a security feature. I had noticed that like there was a security problem, and now it's all patched. So yeah, so we can see this is your username, and yeah, you own this one now. You want to, yeah, quickly, Paul, talk about the three subscreens on the left side.
Okay, so on the far left is like the checkbox icon. That's like the DPNS screen. And then we have DPNS subscreens, which are active contests, past contests, and my usernames. And go ahead, click on active contests.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to refresh to see the actual active contests.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good UX rather than every time you click on, like you open a different screen, it does a bunch of queries. But yeah, go ahead, click refresh.
Yep. So we are fixing up this screen. We have some issues with fetching everything and like this error messages that should not be there. But you know, in general, it does work. Yeah.
You have to
So
press it like again.
yeah, I
think.
know. We're just waiting for the first one to finish before we press it again.
Oh, it's not a contested name, so it's not going to show up.
Oh no, I know, but we already yeah, I know, but we're talking about like why is it still fetching? So
Yeah.
people to understand, right now on testnet, we have a lot of we have to mimic mainnet, we have about 20% nodes that are just down. And because the nodes are down, we query them and then we query some other nodes and some Evo nodes, and we're getting back these errors, and we basically have to go through multiple rounds to get all the information. We should not actually be showing those errors, like the red thing at the top. We should just be retrying silently, and that's something that still needs to happen from a UX perspective. But from a functionality perspective, everything's there. So if we click on past contests, we'll see all the past contests that we've had. And actually, but actually, I don't know, Paul, did you implement paging here yet, or is it only up to 100?
I guess it's just up to 100.
Oh, okay. So something's still to be done there. And we can even go to mainnet and just see what it's like on mainnet. A little bit more interesting, right? Oh,
It's a lot less errors.
Paul
on
from
main.
research. Paul.
Did I get Thailand yet?
Did you get Thailand? Did Thailand active contests? Oh, Thailand. Oh, somebody's voting for him? Guys, don't vote for him.
I shouldn't.
I'm gonna contest Thailand. It's over.
Darn it.
Yes. Shouldn't have said anything. So that's so yeah, when we're gonna release this with all the issues that we saw today. Well, we're gonna release it basically right after this call. It's not perfect, we understand, but it's so much better than the first version, and you know, we'll have an iterative approach. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And let's continue with the core team.
All right, sounds good. So the biggest things this past kind of 2 weeks is working on v22 and getting that actually released. So we have been deployed to a DevNet and working with the platform team to test against it. Obviously, in the last 2 weeks, they had some more critical tasks that they kind of had to deal with, and resolving the mainnet issues. So that slightly delayed our kind of DevNet plan and our timeline around when we were going to get v22 out. But we've now completed that DevNet testing. Everything worked as expected. Everything went well. And so we will be releasing to testnet very shortly. RC1 is going to get tagged in the next either today or tomorrow morning. It kind of depends on what PRs are open right now and if any of them need to get merged. I think it'll get done today. And then tomorrow we'll have RC1 getting built and actually released. And with that, testnet will be getting upgraded to version 22. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a sec. Here you can see everything that is done on the v22 side. We did accomplish beta BIP 324. Really happy about that. Of course, Ivan talked about the asset unlocks increases previously, as well as some optimizations around bandwidth and network usage. So improved headers downloads. You can basically have better compressed headers download. You can download more headers at once. And also DSQ messages, the handling of them was changed. So they're now in the inventory system. And that is going to reduce bandwidth requirements, especially on highly connected masternodes, quite a bit. That was actually the single biggest bandwidth usage on masternodes and heavily connected nodes, was just sending around these DSQ messages. And based on my calculations, we should see a 75% decrease in that very big chunk. So that's very exciting. Also looking forward to a v22.1. So that will potentially include stuff like proof of service banning from platform, so that platform could actually initiate the banning of an Evo node on the core level as well. We're also migrating to C++20, and Kitty Whiskers has made really good progress on that as of late. And we're also working on, this would be in actually v23. I should have that in not v22.x, but we do have a dip in review right now for extensible addresses in the deterministic masternode list. This would allow us to have stuff like IPv6 or Onion or I2P or CJDNS, or basically any network type that Dash Core supports could actually be in the DML. And this could even be extended in the future to something like domains. That's not necessarily included in this version of the DIP, but in the future, that is something that that we could potentially add with this extension. So also, the proof of service banning does have a dip in review right now. I think we can move on to the next slide here. So I already talked a little bit about this. I got a little too excited, but DevNet testing went well, like I said, and we're going to be releasing RC1 any day now. Could be today, could be tomorrow. Definitely will not be today for the actual build, as that takes a little while, but it potentially will get tagged today. And then final version, I expect that right around 3 weeks, assuming, right around 2 to 3 weeks, assuming everything on testnet goes well, and we don't run into any issues or, major bugs that we need to fix and redo any kind of testing. So that's kind of the timeline for v22. I think we can move on to the next slide here, and we'll see the list of merged PRs in the last 2 weeks. So some backports, some improvements, some changes to how CI works. There's a good chunk of open PRs right now that need some UX builds to make sure that nothing broke, but good chunk of open PRs right now to a lot of it's related to the C++20 work, but those will get merged in for the next review. So I think that is a wrap from me. We can move on to mobile.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so on the first slide, Android. It's mostly Dash Pay work. We did have a couple small things that needed to be addressed on CrowdNode, but we had a few different bugs that we were kind of dealing with and getting ready for our official mainnet rollout on the Play Store. Right now, it's still in the open beta. Quick voting will be one of the next kind of features that get released. But before we release that, we've got some nice design improvements that have been made to the voting screen. There's a more technical item for creating a system contract. Not too much to describe there. Move to the next slide for iOS. Still work continues, with the bindings for Dash Sync, so we can get our a build going of Dash Pay. We did start into the we already started a little while back, but we've been picking away at the voting and username requests. This time, the contested username flows, and this is just on the UI side until we can get the back end up and running. And lots of work on CoinZone. We did run into a bunch of kind of unexpected issues that prevented us from getting that release out. But most of them have been fixed. We still have a few more things that popped up, again, kind of last minute unexpectedly, that we want to address before we release that. And we had a similar CrowdNode fix, which, since CrowdNode is kind of changing their fees periodically, they've added that to their API so that we can pull that and more dynamically look it up, as opposed to hard coding on what their fees are. And we did have an issue with regards to Evenode withdrawal transactions that was causing sync issues. We just released or started the rollout of that. It's 8.2.2, so keep an eye out for that. Can move on to the next slide. So the release plan, most of the stuff up top I've already talked about has been completed. It's really just the last two that we're kind of focusing on, is that first mainnet rollout on the Play Store. And that has, like I mentioned, some design improvements for voting, and plenty of different bug fixes, and other kind of translation fixes. I was really hoping that was going to be last week. It's pushed one more time to hopefully this week. We are still working on one final issue, but I'm optimistic we should hopefully be able to get that out this week. And then I mentioned the other point release for invitations and quick voting, and other bugs and bug fixes there. So that's Android. That'll be out most likely in November, unless we run into some hiccups. Nothing's changed on iOS, really. I don't have any more definitive timelines on Dash Pay, but for Dash Wallet, hoping to get that CoinJoin release out. Also hoping for this week. Again, we've run into a lot of kind of unexpected issues, so I'm cautiously optimistic on this one, for balance mixing to come out this week. That's it for mobile.
All right, thank you very much. Let's continue with the questions. So the first question, can DCG share some areas where community development would be useful? Some of our best contributors like XKey are community/volunteer. I can find a lot of extra devs, including volunteers, if we know what we should be working on. Sam, would you like to address that?
Yeah, sure. Well, I would actually say that the biggest use case that we currently have is building dApps, right? We need people building dApps. Obviously, right now, it doesn't work extremely well with our JavaScript SDK, but that's a problem that will be resolved within a few months. So that would be interesting. In terms of anything like on platform or on, on the protocol level, it's not easy. Even when we go through 20 interviews, new people generally take 4 to 6 months before they're good enough to start writing the easy tasks. So I would say that if you want to contribute, yeah, make a pull request, but it would be a little bit hard to find people that could just jump right in there. Ivan, do you have any ideas where people can contribute? Oh, the Dash Evo tool, right? Like that's UI front end stuff. I'm going back to platform, and there are tons of features that we could have, right? Like we have NFTs right now, right? So why not have a page for NFTs, all the NFTs that you have? Why not have a page for showing the different contracts in the system and how to interact with them? There's a lot of, stuff we can do just to at least showcase the system, even though, it would be better to have this eventually in web. But, it would be a good first step. Who asked the question, by the way? Hello?
Sorry, Balazs, you're muted. I believe it
Yes.
was Joel.
Yeah, indeed. Sorry, I was muted.
Yeah, I can add a little bit to that as well, particularly on the mobile side. I mean, I second everything that Sam said. I mean, I think dApp development on the platform would be huge. Anyone that could contribute at that level would be great. On the mobile side, I mean, we've got a huge backlog of not only feature development, but also UI redesign work, which we've just had to deprioritize so we can get Dash Pay out and get the main Dash Pay features out on both platforms. Feature development obviously gets a little bit more complicated with outside contributions, but it's not impossible, and we've got procedures and different ways that can be done efficiently. But we've got designs for various things that is just UI related work. It's just prettying it up. It's been a while since it's been redesigned, so having outside contributions to be able to kind of start working on that, I think would be great. And we can share those designs and people can kind of pick and choose. There is somewhat of an order of things that makes sense, but we can find some way if someone's interested to share those.
There is one more thing that I would like to talk about. Basically, this week I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna be working on 1.6 and fungible tokens and multisig. But when I'm done with that, we move on to smart contracts. And if we have developers that have written smart contracts on Solana, on Ethereum, on basically any blockchain that supports smart contracts, if you could reach out, say the things you liked, say the things you did not like, that would be helpful. Right now, I am going to go in and I'm going to investigate before I start writing smart contracts. But the more input I get, the better our system will be in the end. So that would be very helpful as well.
All right, thank you. So let's move on to the next question, which is, will this release of Dash Evo tool, I suppose, DET, allow Dash Pay created identities to access private keys?
Will it allow Dash Pay created identity? Oh, you mean on the mobile wallet? So no. And the reason why no is that we basically need an import wallet feature. I have the screens for import wallet ready. The problem is that it needs a like a fully synced core behind it. Why? Because it basically takes keys that you might have received funds through DashPay, and the basic core wallet that's connected to doesn't have all the indexes that are needed. So you basically have to re-index core. It's not, a lot of work. I mean, we don't have to re-index core, but, just verify that core is indexed before you can actually import. It's not a lot of work. It was just another thing to do. And, it will be in version 0.3. Any more questions? You're muted, Balash.
Oh my God.
You
So,
won't.
so, still, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. So, last question from Ryan. What are DCG's plans for the JS SDK? Will the existing JS SDK be scraped, modified, started from scratch? Yeah. Can you give us a general idea? So basically, what will happen to JS SDK?
Sure. So, Ivan, if you want to correct me after I speak, Ivan, are you there? Are you paying attention? Yeah, cool.
Of
So,
course.
of course. So basically, we will start with we basically the idea inside of DCG is that we're going to have one Rust SDK, and then on top of this Rust SDK, we are going to have bindings for pretty much all major languages eventually. So Rust, then we're going to make bindings for we're making the bindings for iOS, we're making the bindings for Java, we're making the bindings for JavaScript. And for JavaScript, we'll be using WASM. And the idea is to start on that in December. Is that correct, Ivan? That was the idea. I don't know if times have moved.
It's I don't have like exact ETA or like estimations on top of my head right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess.
Yeah, I mean it seems like it will start in December. And what we're basically going to do is we're going to mix and match some code that already exists in JavaScript, because we don't, the Rust SDK doesn't do everything, and, merge it together. For example, the Rust SDK does not have a wallet. The JavaScript SDK does. So we'll probably take the wallet from the JavaScript SDK. It's still, in the early phase of planning. However, having worked with WASM on JSDPP, we do have some experience. How long do you think it might take, Ivan, to write the WASM bindings on top of the Rust SDK, if you were to guess?
We already have binding for DPP,
Yeah,
right? So it's only the SDK calls.
they're about 20.
20, yes. So, and we need to wrap it into some JavaScript facet so you can use it will be convenient to use in JavaScript environment and connect to, I don't know, 2 months,
Yeah.
let's say.
It's not a crazy effort, but it's not like a 1 week effort either. But what we get at the end of this is a very well-tested system, because it's on top of the Rust SDK, right? And the Rust SDK will have been tested, by all the iOS, by all of Android, by 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 Dash Evo tool. It will be something that's pretty mature, so we won't run into low-level issues. It will also support proofs. We'll support a way of doing things without proofs probably as well. And yeah, I hope that answers your question.
I would emphasize that we are on the early steps of planning. So that's why all our current estimations is just guesses, and we come back to you with the actual estimations when we finish our planning.
Exactly. One thing that we don't we used to plan months in advance, right? We used to have meetings that spanned and we were guessing what we were going to do in 6 months. And it never turned out that that's what we did in 6 months. So now we only try to plan 2-3 months in advance to stay pretty flexible.
All right. I guess as I see no further, DCG should make a JS SDK delivery estimate in the next week or two. Yeah, that's what Ivan answered. Yeah, in a near future, we should have a more thorough planning on this topic.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting through stuff pretty quick. Like it hasn't
We
been
started. I'm sorry.
like think of
Yeah.
everything we've accomplished in the last 3 months. It's monumental.
We started to
Right.
do planning, but some things came up like this chain halt, and also we saw our bills for CI, so we have to reduce it quickly. We will deal with urgent stuff, and we come back to SDK and planning and share with you what we end up with.
Yeah.
All right. I guess that's a wrap. Thanks everybody for joining, and see you in 2 weeks.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.